Hello, everyone. A very good evening to all of you. Welcome to Let's Upgrade's AWS Zero to Hero Essentials. Uh, Again, good evening, everyone. I already see a lot of people were waiting even before we started, and there were a lot of questions. So, yes, I will be answering all of those. Don't worry. I am sure you all are going to have a very great time and a lot of fun while learning AWS Essentials from our very able trainer, Vinolan ma'am. My voice is echoing, ma'am. Can you just mute yourself for a minute? Yes, so thank you so much. So I would like to introduce Vinolan ma'am to all of you. She is a certified AWS trainer. She has been certified by AWS, and she is one of the best people currently in the country to teach you about AWS. So consider yourselves very lucky that you have got this chance to learn from her. And yes, so I will just introduce myself now. I am Sneha. I am the head of placements at Let's Upgrade. So you are also going to meet me once again when you complete this whole program. I will be taking your career and placement sessions when you complete your essentials program, and then we will talk about everything related to placements and interviews and everything else. Okay. So coming to your questions, people are asking if this course is certified. Yes, this is a certification course. So there will be two kinds of certificates here. Please listen to me very carefully. There will be two kinds of certificates. There will be one which is a certificate of participation, and the other will be a certificate of completion. Okay. So to get the certificate of participation, you have to make sure that you put in your attendance daily. You attend daily and you put in your attendance also daily. The link has already been pinned by Jyotsna here, who is the moderator for this session today. Okay. Please make sure to fill in the attendance form, attend every day and fill in the attendance form for every day to be able to get the certificate of participation. Second, the certificate of completion. So, Vinolan ma'am here will be putting out assignments and projects for you to complete. They'll be posted on your community, and you have to submit them also on the community. So, they will be moderated, they will be checked, and then you become eligible for the certificate of completion. So, two certificates, one for participation, put in your attendance daily, one for completion, wherein you get eligible only when you complete the assignments and the projects. Okay, and you submit them in time. So there will be two kinds of certifications here. Okay, this entire program is free of cost. Okay, there's no cost involved to this program. The certification is also free of cost. All right. Hi guys, I'm totally new to AWS. Yes, so even if you are new to cloud computing or new to AWS, you need not worry. The name of the program itself is pretty self-explanatory. It tells you it is a zero to hero program. So even if you don't know anything about this, you need not worry. Everything right from the basics is going to be covered. Okay, and you have a very good trainer for that. All right. So. Don't worry. Yes. So I think I have answered the most common questions right now. And ma'am, please unmute yourself. And I will be now handing over the reins of the session to Vinolan ma'am. Okay. And you can go ahead and start the learning process. Everyone, all the
Thank
best.
you, Neha. Thank you very much. So, hi guys, hi everyone. Hope you're all doing good. So, are you all excited to learn AWS? Yes. I hope everybody is, in the mindset to learn a new technology. We will be discussing about Amazon Web Services. So before that, let me introduce myself. I'm Vinolan Jadmaya. I'm an authorized Amazon instructor, and I have 7+ years of technical corporate training experience, and I deliver lots of professional AWS trainings. Okay, I'm AWS Solutions Architect Associate Certified, Developer Associate Certified, and SysOps Admin Certified as well in Amazon Web Services, and Cisco Certified Network Associate, Microsoft Certified Solutions Associate as well. So happy to be here with you all for this AWS Essential session. Hope we have a great learning. Welcome you all again. Okay, so are we good to move forward? I will be checking the chat box. You can ask your questions in the chat box. Okay, and yes, listen to the session. I will give you time when you can post your questions in the chat box, and I'll be very happy to answer all your questions. Okay. Yes, guys. Yes, I'm checking the chat box. Let me share my screen. Yes, I hope my screen is visible now. So here we are to learn about Amazon Web Services. Okay, we will start off with the very basics. I was able to see many questions regarding, was it a certified training, and if you're a fresher of a cloud computing, are you going to be teaching step by step? So I can understand, your anxiety, your, how you are eager to know the validity of this course. So here we would be covering from the very basics, and the people who don't have any knowledge about AWS. Okay, and even those people would be able to come along with us in this journey. Okay, so we would start off from the very basics about understanding what exactly is cloud computing all about. Okay, and then we'll move into understanding the concepts, the different services, and the different domains in which AWS offers its services. Okay, so yes, so we have, so this is your AWS Essentials program, where you're going to be getting start your career in the AWS cloud. So the reason for being here today, so we know that cloud computing is a buzzword now, and wherever you turn around, everybody says cloud platform, AWS, Azure, GCP, everything is revolving around the cloud platform. Okay, so cloud computing and AWS, we would say it's the top skill in demand in the corporate world. Okay, and you need to be upskilling yourself on a regular basis. Okay, if you want to thrive in the corporate world, you should be always up to date. Okay, so though you have a lot of skill set, though you have your professional qualities, your personal abilities, your technical skill sets that you've gained from your college studies, you still need to upgrade yourself, and that's where we come in. We at Let's Upgrade, we aim to provide you with these courses which are going to be helping you to add value to your skill set. Okay, your professional values are going to be incremented by this particular program. Okay, so your next chapter into a world of cloud computing begins here. So we have a different cloud providers. We have Amazon Web Services, we have Azure, we have Google Cloud, we have VMware, IBM Cloud, Alibaba Cloud. So all these are the different providers of cloud computing. Okay, we will discuss about what cloud computing is, but then these are the different providers and AWS. So this is Amazon Web Services, which is provided to you by Amazon. And we have Azure, which is provided to you by Microsoft. So Azure is the Microsoft cloud. We have the Google Cloud platform, which is managed by Google. And then we have the VMware cloud, we have the IBM cloud, and we have the Alibaba cloud as well. So AWS tops the market, and we could say the market leader in cloud computing. And that's what we're going to be learning in these sessions. So, what is the agenda for our session? So, today we would be discussing about how or what is basically cloud computing. We will understand the different deployment models. We will understand the service models. And then, very importantly, we will learn about the global infrastructure of AWS. Okay, how exactly AWS is managing all our resources in the AWS cloud, right? Secondly, today we will be discussing about identity and access management. Okay, it's basically how you are going to be managing users when it comes into a corporate world. You need to be managing all your employees who are having access to the resources in the AWS cloud, right? So we will be understanding how you can work with admin access of AWS and see how you will also be able to work with the command line interface to get out your tasks done. Okay, we will also understand the EC2 server system. So I'll be taking you through a demo of creating an EC2 instance as well in today's session. And in tomorrow's session, we are going to be learning about all the essential services like EC2 instance storage, Route 53, VPC, that is a virtual private cloud, CloudFront, S3, which is simple storage service. So all these things will be discussed here in this module. And finally, at the end of this session of AWS Essentials, we will be discussing about how you can deploy your application to AWS. I guess the agenda for these 2 days are made clear. Okay. I'm just having a quick check at the chat box. Okay, I think everything is caught up. Yes. So what are legacy systems and what is the need for cloud computing? So legacy system, when I say legacy system, what exactly is your physical infrastructure? Okay, so here in front of you are all the physical devices that you use, your CD drives, your CDs, your SD cards, your pen drives that you use, your central processing unit, your servers, your computers, your laptops. All these are physical resources. If we talk about storage, we have a pen drive, we have a hard disk, okay, we have our SD cards, right? If we talk about servers, we have all the servers, the physical servers that are made available to us. The applications that we install, we pay per license for the individual servers, right? So all these are real-time physical components. If we talk about creating a network in a physical infrastructure, it is definitely going to be a physical wiring that exists between the different entities of the network. Okay, we call it a host device or nodes. Okay, so we have multiple nodes and you're connecting them together using physical connectivity to ensure networking is in place. Okay, so this is what happens in a physical infrastructure. Okay, so that's how it works in a physical infrastructure. Now, what is the disadvantage of having a physical infrastructure? For this purpose, let's understand hosting an application in web. Okay, so let's say I think everybody might have used your university's website to check your university results, right? So you would have definitely done that. So probably on the day of the result, okay, when everybody goes in and logs into the website, there are chances, or definitely you would have come across this, where you get a server error. okay, or the page becomes unresponsive. You don't get response from the website. Okay, this is because the server on which they have hosted this particular website is overloaded. Okay, and it is not able to respond to the huge amount of traffic that's been bombarding this particular server. Okay, so this is the use case. Now, if it is a physical system, okay, let's say I have just give me a minute. If I'm going to be having few servers here, okay, on a daily basis, I have let's say I have 4 servers, 4 physical servers. Okay, I have 4 physical servers on all of these. Let's say I have my university website. Okay, this is what I have. I have 4 servers on a daily basis, and on this particular day of the result, okay, on the day of the result, the traffic to this particular website is very high. Okay, the traffic to this website is very high. So on a regular traffic, these 4 servers are more than sufficient to manage the traffic. On this particular day of the result, when the traffic is very high, okay, the servers become overloaded with requests and they become unresponsive. Okay, so the reason is they are not able to respond to the excess traffic. Okay, in this case, what is the solution? The only solution is you will have to add new servers into the network so that this extra traffic can be managed. Now, we are talking about a physical infrastructure. Okay, we are talking about a physical infrastructure. Now, if you are supposed to have 4 servers, okay, if you want to create, if you want to deploy a website or web application, it would definitely take months of planning, weeks of execution, okay, if you want to have everything in place, even if it is for a single day. Okay, if you are supposed to add, if you are expected to add one more server into the network for just one day, how tedious it would be if it's a physical infrastructure. Okay, one thing is you might go in for anticipating the capacity. Okay, you anticipate the capacity requirements. Okay, so this is my I expect the traffic on this particular day to be this high, and so I'm going to be adding 2 more servers. So I create, what I do, I invest on 2 extra servers. I invest on 2 extra servers. Okay, so these are going to be now redundant resources. Yes or no? Okay, I need on a regular day-to-day basis, okay, throughout the year, 4 servers are pretty much sufficient if I have to manage the traffic to the website. But on the day of the result, the traffic is so high that I'm not able to use just these 4 servers and I need more resources. That's where I go in for investing on extra resources. Let's consider a situation where I'm not investing on redundant resources. What will happen? The moment I need more servers to be added into the network, it becomes impossible or infeasible. Okay, it becomes not feasible. Okay, so what the problem is, if you have to provision new servers into the network, it takes weeks of planning and weeks of execution. Okay, so it is not possible to get your servers in place and make them up and running in a few minutes or few hours. Okay, that's the challenge that we face if we have a physical infrastructure. Okay, made clear? So this is the use case. Hold on to the use case and we will discuss what are the disadvantages. Setup is very expensive. The reason is all these are physical resources, right? So you would have to invest on environment provisioning, the place where you have provisioned your office space, environment management, your air conditioning, your electricity, the human workforce, housekeeping services. There are so many things that are involved when we discuss about a physical, or when we think about the physical infrastructure. The setup is really expensive. Then, keeping the traffic in mind, you go in for investing in more servers, which are going to be idle most of the time. Okay, throughout the year, you probably need 4 servers, but then just because you might have extra traffic, what you do, you invest on 2 extra servers, which is going to be staying there idle throughout the year, except for the days of the result. Next, monitoring and maintenance of your servers becomes much tedious. Okay, because everything is under your control, so you need to have proper workforce in place for monitoring and managing your servers. And that's what I said. Since the traffic is varying, your servers will be idle most of the time. And also, troubleshooting problems can be tedious and may conflict with your business goals, because it's completely under your control. And if you're trying to troubleshoot it, you might have to face lots of conflict with your business goals as well. So till now, we have discussed about the physical infrastructure and what are the disadvantages of the physical infrastructure. Now, let's understand what is cloud computing. Cloud computing is a model for enabling convenient on-demand network access to a shared pool of configurable computing resources. So this is a very important definition that you will have to remember throughout. So cloud computing provides you with on-demand network access to a shared pool of configurable computing resources. So be it network, server, storage, applications, or services. Generally, people think that cloud computing is all about storage. That's the general notion. Okay, I've been with so many people, so many batches, so many candidates. Everybody feels that cloud computing is for storage. Your cloud platform is for storage. Okay, the reason is you've been exposed to the cloud storage. What are the cloud storages that you guys have used? So I'm sure you would have used your Gmail, your Google Drive, your OneDrive, your Dropbox. All these are cloud storages. They provide you with the cloud storage space. Since you people have used all the cloud storages, you feel that cloud is all about storage. Definitely not. It's definitely more than just storage. Okay, we have networks, storage, servers, applications, and a wide variety of services that are made available to you in the cloud computing platform. And you will be able to rapidly provision the resources with a very minimal management effort. And it provides you a very high level abstraction of the computation and the storage model. We would be discussing about all these different components that is provided to you in the cloud computing platform. So what are the advantages of cloud computing? Now, stop guessing the capacity. Okay, so now we're discussing about the advantages of cloud computing. So the first one is stop guessing the capacity. Okay, so what happens is, if it is going to be a physical environment, remember this use case that I have told you. If you're going to be using the physical environment, okay, you either end up anticipating the capacity and then you go ahead with over provisioning the resource. Okay, you go ahead with over provisioning the resource, or you end up under provisioning the resource. Yes or no? Because these are physical resources. Maybe you don't want to invest on redundant resources. Then what will happen on this particular day of the results? Obviously, when the traffic goes very high, your servers will not be able to manage this is under provisioning, and this is going to be compromising the performance of your application. Okay, what are you doing here when you are under provisioning? Compromising the performance. In case of over provisioning, what happens? You are investing on redundant resource. So there is a increase in the capital investment. Okay, so this is what happens when you are either over provisioning or under provisioning. So this is what happens in a physical infrastructure. When we come to the cloud computing infrastructure, you can simply stop guessing the capacity. Here we have a feature called auto scaling. And using auto scaling, you will be able to shrink your resources when the traffic goes down and grow your resources when the traffic grows high. Okay, so you can completely stop guessing the capacity. The next one, increased speed and agility. Do you remember I told you that if you have to provision resources in your physical infrastructure, you would need months of planning and weeks for execution or implementation. If it is going to be a cloud computing environment, you would probably, maximum take hours, or with just few clicks and few minutes, you will be having your server in hand. Okay, and everything is in place. You will be able to provision your entire resource within a very short duration of time. So this is comparatively very faster, and it also provides you with increased agility. And you will be, since you are having or saving time on provisioning your resources and managing your resources, you will be able to concentrate on business differentiators. You can always think about expanding your business. You can invest the time and resource and the money that you have saved from investing on a physical infrastructure. You're going to be putting that money into a different business or growing your business in a different track. Next, variable expense versus capital expense. If it's going to be your physical infrastructure, it is a capital expense that you invest, okay, at the beginning. And then here, you will be paying for what you use. Very simple. If you use 1 hour, okay, if you use a particular server for 1 hour, you just pay for that 1 hour of usage, okay? The next one, going global in minutes. So you put your data into the cloud and you will be able to access the data from anywhere across the globe. Is it the same with your pen drive? Not really, right? If you lose your pen drive, if you leave your pen drive at home, then you don't have access to the data that you have inside your pen drive, right? But then you put your data into your Google Drive, you put your data into the Dropbox. At any part of the globe, you need access to the data, it is there with you. Okay, as simple as that. So you will be able to go global in minutes. And also, if you are thinking about at the corporate level, okay, at a business point of view, if you have to set up a global footprint, okay, if you want to set up, you want to deliver your product to customers across the globe, it is going to be a little bit, I could say, very much challenging if you have to establish a global footprint of your business, if it's going to be a physical infrastructure. But then here, when we have the cloud computing platform, you will be able to deliver your product to global customers very easily by using the AWS Global Infrastructure. Okay, yes, so these are the different advantages of cloud computing platform. Understanding business expenses. So what is economies of scale? So basically the cost advantages that the companies experience when production becomes efficient and a business's size and achieving an economy of scale. And generally the internal economies are caused by factors within a single company, and external factors are going to be affecting the entire industry. Okay, basically, AWS, if we take into consideration Amazon Web Services, it is possible for Amazon Web Services to provide you all the resources at a very cheap price because it has a very huge customer base. Okay, it is serving a very huge customer base across the globe, and it is possible with when you have this AWS global infrastructure in place. With the AWS global infrastructure, it is possible for AWS to provide you all these services at a very low price point. Okay, so this is the best economies of scale. Okay, so now let's understand how you can create a free tier AWS account. So basically, you have a free tier AWS account that is a free tier limit that is available to you. You can create a free tier account. You just need a credit card or a debit card. Your account will be debited with rupees 2, nothing more than that. Okay, it's for the verification purpose, and you definitely need a credit card or a debit card. It cannot be a rupee card, either a master or visa card you would be able to use for creating a free tier AWS account. AWS provides you with 1 year free tier service. Okay, so if you go into can you see this? You just go in for, since I have already an account, it takes me to the login page. You can just go in for creating a new account. If you go in for creating, okay, I'm already logged in. That is the reason it's taking me into my AWS console. Okay, you just search for AWS free tier. Okay, you just go in for creating an AWS free tier account. Can you see this? Create a free account. Okay, so you can just click on this. It'll take you through a series of steps. I have them here as snapshots. So you can create an AWS account. So you would be asked for your email address, your password, confirm the password, give a name for your account, and then you move forward. Please create a personal account. Okay, not a company account, but then create a personal account. Give your full name, give your country, okay, and then address. You can give your location, your city, postal code, phone number. Please give a valid phone number because at times you might get a verification call on your mobile number. Okay, so please give a valid phone number. Then you can just do this security check, and then you go in for accepting the conditions and create an account and continue. Okay, make sure you select a personal account. So here is the page where you need to give the payment information. So you definitely need a Visa card or a MasterCard. Okay, so just give, it could be either a credit card or a debit card. Just give your values here, and then you can give your billing address. PAN card is optional. Okay, if you want to give your PAN details, it's not necessary. Okay, it's optional. You can omit this, just give no, proceed. So here in the next tab or the dialog box, you're supposed to choose the basic plan. The basic plan is a free plan. Okay, so you go ahead with the basic plan. Once once you select the basic plan, you will get this console. It says thank you, and then you can complete the sign up here. Okay, once you click on complete sign up, you will have two questions displayed here: your role, your designation, and what is the purpose that you're going to be using this AWS account, free tier account for. Just select anything that you feel convincing, like you want to explore the DevOps part of it, or you want to explore the machine learning part of AWS, or you want to explore the storage part of AWS. So whatever is of interest to you, you can choose that domain, and then just click on complete sign up again. And then once you give that, you will be taken into your AWS Management Console. This is the AWS Management Console. So these are the different services that are offered to you by AWS. Okay, yes. So before we move into the services that is offered by AWS, let's understand the different deployment models. We have 4 different deployment models: the public cloud, the private cloud, community or government cloud, the hybrid cloud. Okay, so the public cloud is, by definition itself, cloud computing. It provides you with resources on demand, and these are all from a shared pool, and then you are going to be having completely configurable resources, right? So now, in case of a public cloud, what happens is, let me take you to the whiteboard. So here, we are discussing about the deployment models. Okay, so here we have the public cloud and the private cloud. So let's understand the difference between a public and a private cloud. Okay, let's say I have a shared pool of resources. Okay, so this is a shared pool of resources. So this is my public cloud. Okay, so I have, let's say, 1,000 servers are here inside the public cloud and 1,000 TB of storage. Okay, so this is 1,000 TB storage. I have 1,000 servers. Okay, this is a private cloud for Let's Upgrade. Okay, this is a private cloud for Let's Upgrade. Now, this private cloud also has 1,000 servers. Okay, and it has 1,000 TB storage. Now, let's understand the difference between private cloud and a public cloud. If there is a person in North Virginia, okay, who wants to launch his server, who wants to create a server in the AWS cloud, he will have equal privilege on this server. And if there is a person who is in Sydney and he wants to create a server, then he will also be allocated a resource from this resource pool. Okay, let's say there is someone who is in Canada, Ontario, or anywhere. So in Canada, someone wants to create or store something, so he will be allocated a storage from this 1,000 TB storage. Someone from Africa wants to have or create their deploy their web application in a server, then all of these people will be allocated resources from the shared pool. This is again a shared pool. Whereas these resources that belongs to the private cloud of Let's Upgrade, whether they are used up or not, whether they are used or whether they are running or staying idle, these servers will be accessible only to the people who belong to Let's Upgrade. Okay, so this is a private resource. Okay, so the people who belong to this private cloud alone can have access to these 1,000 servers and 1,000 TB storage. If there is a person from North Virginia who does not belong to the Let's Upgrade, cannot have access to the resource that belongs to the private cloud of Let's Upgrade. Same with all the other locations. I hope the difference between the public and the private cloud is made clear. Okay? Yes. Now, let's move forward with understanding community cloud. Okay, what is a community cloud? Now, two or more groups. Okay, so let's say there is three different companies. Okay, three different companies collaborating on a single project. So they will have some shared data, right? So in such a case, so this is group one, this is group two, and this is group three. Okay, so this might have multiple number of users, right? And even this group will have multiple users, and the same with this group. Okay, so when you have a multiple organization, let's say this is company A, company B, and company C, they want to collaborate on a particular project. In that case, you go in for using a community cloud. Again, this is also a private cloud. Okay, but then the resources are shared across or among the different groups that make up the community. Though these though A, B, and C, though all three of them belong to the community, it doesn't mean that A can have access to all the resources that are shared in the data center or the shared workspace. Okay, if A is sharing something, it is possible for A to decide whether B can have a read access or no access or a read write access. All these things can be decided by A. Okay, so you do have privacy even though you have a shared workspace. Okay, so this is your community cloud. The last one is the hybrid cloud. Okay, this is your hybrid cloud. Your private cloud resources are comparatively expensive, and you will be able to, have more levels of security implemented when you're going in for using your private cloud. Okay, you will have more privacy, more security when you go in for using your private cloud, and your private cloud resources are expensive. If you take a corporate environment, you will definitely have resources that are very sensitive and those that are less sensitive or less critical. Okay, so you want to put your less critical data into a public cloud platform. Okay, so you have your public cloud. Okay, and then you have um, the very critical data or the very important data, you put it inside your private cloud. So a combination of the public cloud and the private cloud is called your hybrid cloud. Okay, we do have another concept here which is called hybrid environment. Okay, hybrid deployment. Okay, this hybrid deployment, it involves an on-premises infrastructure and a cloud infrastructure. That is different. Okay, that is a hybrid deployment. That is different. So here, this is the hybrid cloud model where you have a combination of your public cloud as well as your private cloud. So you can put your less critical resources inside your public cloud, and your very sensitive resources can be moved into your private cloud. I hope everybody is clear with the concept of the deployment models. So the characteristics of a public cloud. So we know it is a publicly accessible cloud environment owned by a third-party cloud provider. The IT resources on the public clouds are provisioned as per the service models. The cloud provider will be creating and managing the public cloud and its IT resources. So the provider, so AWS is going to be, if you choose Amazon Web Services for your cloud computing needs, then AWS is going to be provisioning your resources and managing your resources as well. Then we have the private cloud. A private cloud is owned by a single organization and centralizing access to its resources from different parts, locations, or departments of the organization. The actual administration is carried out by internal or the outsourced staff, and the same organization is technically both the cloud consumer as well as the cloud provider. And when I say cloud consumer, The person who is assuming or consuming the cloud services, and the cloud provider is one who provisions the resources. In case of a private cloud, everything is under the control of the customer. So you can have on premises and the cloud based resources in the private cloud. The next one is the hybrid cloud, which is a combination of two or more cloud deployment models. And you would be able to deploy cloud services processing sensitive data to a private cloud and less sensitive to a public cloud. And then community cloud, it is similar to private, but then it is limited to a specific community of cloud consumers, and it is jointly owned by the community members or by a third party cloud provider. And the member cloud, consumers responsible for defining and evolving the community cloud. And the membership in the community does not necessarily guarantee access to or control of the clouds and its resources. And parties outside the community are generally not granted access unless allowed by the community. I hope you folks were able to understand the difference between the four deployment models. So now let's quickly go into understanding the different service models. So these are the different service models. We have infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. In case of infrastructure as a service, okay, you have all the virtual entities like virtualization, your servers, your storage, your networking components. All these are provided to you by the provider, be it Microsoft, if you go in for using an Azure cloud, or if it's going to be AWS. So the provider will be managing or providing you with the virtualization, the servers, storage, and the networking if you go in for using a infrastructure as a service model. Okay, and the remaining part of the stack where you have your applications, your databases, your runtime environment. This is basically your platform, your runtime, your middleware, and the operating system together comprises the platform for you to deploy your application. When you go in for infrastructure as a service, the customer will have the responsibility for deciding what type of application, what type of database, and what type of platform they're going to be using or choosing. And they will be the one responsible for managing it as well. And in terms of the service model, anything that is provided by the provider will be managed by the provider, right? And then the next one is platform as a service, where the platform will be provided to you by the provider. Basically, if you want a real-time example for infrastructure as a service, AWS is a very popular a provider of infrastructure as a service, and EC2 especially is your infrastructure as a service. And then we have platform as a service, where the platform where you can deploy your application is provided to you by the provider. Made clear? So here, in case of a platform as a service, a very popular example is Elastic Beanstalk. Okay, Elastic Beanstalk, it basically provides you with a platform where your developers can deploy your code and then build your applications in the AWS cloud. Okay, so this is platform as a service. Okay, where the platform will be provided to you by the provider, and the provider will manage the platform as well. So you are responsible for the database, the data that you process, and also the applications that you are using on top of the platform. And software as a service is one where you are basically getting the end product, the end software, or the final application delivered to you by the provider. Okay, so let me give you a simple example so that you can very clearly make out. So here, your software as a service, let's take a banking application. Okay, some bank organization, they want a particular software application, and the banking employees, they just need to know how to navigate through the console. Okay, so if a customer wants to create a fixed deposit, where should be where do they go if they have to create a fixed deposit? If they want to get a mini statement, where do they get it? And if they want to open a recurring deposit, so these are the things they just need to know how to navigate through the console, right? That is the level that is needed for the backing employees. They are basically from your accounts or the commerce background, and if you're going to be training them on all the underlying components like what is networking, what is storage, what is server, what is virtualization, which is going to be again unnecessary wastage of resource, wastage of time, and your organization might have to invest heavily on training these resources. But then that is not needed. The only thing they need to know is how to navigate through the console, how to navigate through the application. Okay, in such a case, you go in for using a software as a service where you get the end product delivered to you by the provider, and you will be training your employees on how you can navigate through the console. Okay, and in case of a software as a service, AWS, if you go in for AWS will be managing your software application. If it is a platform as a service, okay, so let's say I'm giving you an example where you have a very good workforce of developers. Okay, and your developers, they want to deploy or build their application in the AWS cloud, and they don't have prior knowledge about the cloud computing platform. They are very good developers who can write codes to build very large applications. In such a case, we have Elastic Beanstalk, which provides you with a platform where you will be able to deploy your code and build your application in the AWS cloud. As simple as that. And then we have the infrastructure as a service where we have EC2 server, which is basically providing you with a virtual server in the AWS cloud. Okay, so let's see what each of these are. So the ones that I have already discussed, here's a small summary. So infrastructure as a service, the capability provided to the consumer is to provision processing, storage, networks, and other fundamental computing resources where the consumer is able to deploy and run the software, which includes the operating system and the application. And the consumer does not manage or control the underlying cloud infrastructure, but then he has full control over the operating system, the storage, the deployed application, and then limited control of selecting the network components. So the basic characteristics of infrastructure as a service: the resources are made available to you as a service, and the cost varies depending on consumption. And the services are very highly scalable, and it provides you complete control of the infrastructure to organizations. And it is very much dynamic and flexible because you're just getting the virtual resources allocated to you, and you're building the entire application as you wish. Okay, and when can you use infrastructure as a service? If you are a startup or a small company where you want to have a less capital cost for the hardware and the software, and even if you are a large organization when you want to have complete control over your application and infrastructure, you can go into using infrastructure as a service. And also for the rapidly growing companies, when you don't have to commit to a specific hardware or software as your needs change and evolve. Okay, when you have a continuously evolving pattern where different variations in profit, then when you have an ambiguity in demands for your new application, in such a case as well, you can very well go in for using your infrastructure as a service. And these are the advantages: very much flexible and scalable cloud computing model, automated deployment of storage, networking, servers, and processing power. It gives the clients complete control of their infrastructure. Hardware or the resources can be purchased as needed. The next one is platform as a service. A quick summary of platform as a service. So the capability that is provided to the consumer is to deploy onto the cloud infrastructure consumer created or acquired applications created using the programming languages, the libraries, the services, and the tools that are supported by the provider. And then, as I already said, the consumer does not manage or control over the underlying cloud infrastructure, including the networks, the storage, or the operating system. So the customer has control over the application and the data that that is managed by this application. That's it. When it comes into a platform as a service. So your platform as a service is built on the virtualization technology. It can easily scale up or down the resources, and you will be able to assist with the development and testing and the deployment of applications. Okay, when you go in for using your PaaS model, and numerous users can access the same development application, and web services and databases are very well integrated. So advantages of platform as a service: it makes development and deployment of applications very simple and cost effective, because again it comes into where you're just using the platform. You don't train your employees about what is cloud computing and how to use all the services in cloud computing, which is not needed. Your developers can develop their code as long as they have a platform where they can deploy the code to build their application. They are very much comfortable. Okay, so that's where we go in for using the platform as a service, where you get access to the platform, you use the platform, deploy your application in the AWS cloud. Okay, highly scalable, highly available, and it is going to be reducing the amount of coding, because we do have lots of tools which can be helping you with your codes as well. And it allows easy migration to the hybrid model. And when can you go in for using the platform as a service? It is flexible to accommodate multiple developers working on the same development project. You can create your own customized applications, and you will be able to reduce the costs for rapidly developing or deploying an application. So here are a few of the examples of platform as a service. The one I told you, which is AWS Elastic Beanstalk, which is a platform as a service, which provides you with a platform where you can just simply deploy your code and build your application. Windows Azure, this is an older version, so that also provides you with platform as a service. Google App Engine is a platform as a service that is provided by Google in GCP. And then Apache Stratos and also OpenShift are examples of platform as a service. Next, a quick summary of software as a service. The capability provided to the consumer is to use the provider's applications running on a cloud infrastructure. The applications are accessible from various client devices through either a thin client interface like a web browser, or even it could be a program interface. Also, the consumer does not manage or control over the underlying cloud infrastructure, including networks, servers, operating system, and the storage. Okay, so everything, whatever the server, whatever the provider is providing you with, they are the ones responsible for managing it as well. So what are the characteristics? It is going to be managed from the central location, and these applications will be hosted on a remote server, and it is accessible over the internet. And the users will not be responsible for the hardware or the software updates, because everything is under the control of the provider. Okay, because you're getting the final application delivered to you by the provider, right? And then when can you go in for using a software as a service? If you are a startup or a small company and need to launch e-commerce quickly and don't have time for server issues or software, then you can prefer using software as a service. Even for short-term projects, if you are going to be using applications that aren't in demand very often, like a stack software, or for applications that need both web and mobile access. In all such cases, go in for using software as a service. So here are a few of the examples of software as a service: your Google Apps, your Dropbox, Salesforce, GoToMeeting, All these are software as a service. Okay, so that pretty much summarizes the different service models and the deployment models. Hope you folks understood these concepts. Okay, if you have any questions, please let me know. Let me have a quick check into the chat box. If you have any questions, you can put it down in the chat box. I think all got up. Yes, guys. Okay, let's move forward. So now let's understand Amazon Web Services. Okay, let's understand the global infrastructure of AWS. Okay, so basically, when we talk about the global infrastructure of AWS, we have the regions, availability zones, and the data centers. So now we are discussing about the global infrastructure of AWS. Okay, so here we need to understand the concept of regions, availability zones, and then data centers. Okay, so here AWS basically has 25 regions, okay, and 81 availability zones and multiple data centers. Let me give you the most updated information. So this is the place where you can find the most updated information regarding the AWS global infrastructure, because this keeps, AWS is continuously working on improvising or the delivery of services to its customers across the globe. So the number of regions and the number of availability zones is continuously increasing. So when you want to understand or know what exactly is the number of regions and the availability zones, always this is the best place to go. Okay, so this is your AWS global infrastructure. This is always up to date and the best place which gives you up to date information regarding your regions and availability zones. So right now we have 25 launch regions and 81 availability zones. Okay, yes. So this is AZ. We call them hereafter. If I refer to an AZ, it means an availability zone. Now let's understand what is a region and what is a availability zone. Basically, we have these 25 regions, right? Let me show you in the console. So here, this is your AWS Management Console. So here, if you see, these are the 25 different regions. North Virginia, Ohio, North California, Oregon, Cape Town, Hong Kong, Mumbai, Osaka. So Asia Pacific itself has 7 regions in Asia Pacific. So Hong Kong, Mumbai, Osaka, Seoul, Singapore, Sydney, Tokyo, and then Canada Central. So Europe has again 6 regions, one in Frankfurt, Ireland, London, Milan, Paris, Stockholm. Okay, Middle East, there's one which is in Bahrain, and South America in Sao Paulo. Okay, so these are the regions, okay, where AWS provides you with or where the AWS global infrastructure resides. Okay, so these are the 25 different regions. Now, when I say regions, what does a region mean? Okay. So here, this, let's say, for example, I'm taking it as North Virginia. Okay, and then I have availability zones. Okay, 2 or 3 or more availability zone. Okay, this is AZ1, this is AZ2, and this is AZ3. And each of these availability zones will have data centers. Okay, 2 or more data centers will be available in each of these availability zones. All of them are connected together. Okay, all of them are connected together, and the communication across the availability zones. Okay, the communication across the availability zones happens through high speed private links. Okay, it happens through high speed private links. And if you are going to be communicating with another region, let's say Sydney. Okay, if you are communicating with Sydney, then the communication happens through the AWS Global Backbone Network. Made clear? So the communication across the AZs happens through high-speed private links, and communication across regions happens through the AWS Backbone Network. And these AZs are placed based on the seismic survey. Okay, what is the seismic survey? Seismic survey is basically conducted to identify whether it is a disaster prone zone. Okay, because your data centers, it's the first very important requirement. If you're going to be setting up a data center, then you ensure that it is a disaster free zone. Okay, so seismic surveys are conducted, and you are going to be placing your availability zones in such a way that not all the availability zone within the same region will have a disaster at the same time. For some reason, if AZ1 goes down, that means all the data center, the entire AZ goes down, all the data centers will become unavailable inside this particular availability zone. In such a case, your application will still be accessible from the resources which are available in the other availability zone within the same region. Okay, so this we call it a multi-AZ deployment, which is a very important concept. We'll be discussing it at a later stage. For now, understand that AZs, that's your availability zones, are placed based on the seismic survey, and it's just to ensure that no two availability zones will have a disaster at the same time. Hope it is clear, folks. Yes, so here that's about the availability zones and regions. And also, if you are replicating data, if you are replicating your data across availability zones, it happens synchronously. Okay, replicating data across availability zones within the same region, it happens synchronously. And then when it goes into another region, it basically, we call it a cross region replication, and AWS by default does not replicate your data into another region until and unless you manually do that. Okay, so this is a cross region replication. So when you want to replicate your data into another region, you will have to enable it. This is chargeable. Okay, and this is asynchronous. Okay, so these are the details about the global infrastructure of AWS. Any questions, folks? All caught up? Any questions at this point? You can any question at this point, you can put it down in the chat box. So here, global infrastructure of AWS. So AWS global infrastructure. So this is, I've shown you the most updated number, where you have 25 launched regions and 81 availability zone. And a region is a geographical area, and each region contains 2 or more availability zones. And availability zone is simply a data center. Both AZs are placed at large distance from each other just to ensure avoiding shutdown. Okay. In India, we basically have Asia Pacific, which is in Mumbai, and there is one region that is proposed in Hyderabad. Let me show you. Can you see this here? So here are the regions. Okay, so this gives you a consolidated idea about the regions that are available and the regions that are proposed. Okay, can you see this? This is Canada Central, which basically has 3 availability zones, and Ohio, it has 3 availability zones. Ireland has 3 availability zones, and you can also find the informations here. Okay, so here, Mumbai has 3 availability zones. We have one that is launched in Hyderabad. Okay, Hyderabad, which is a announced region, which is going to be up and running soon. Okay, so we have an announced region in Hyderabad, and then we have Bahrain, which has 3 availability zones. So here you can use this page to get updated information regarding the regions and the availability zones. Clear, folks? The team is so silent, guys. Come on, put down your messages in the chat box. Make it more interactive. You make it more interactive, the session gets more interesting. Right? Yes. Okay. So now so this is what I was talking about earlier. So you have a 12-month free tier account. Okay, you can use your free tier account. You will be able to use all the resources for 12 months. So you have a free tier usage. Okay, if you have doubts regarding your free tier usage, the best place would be AWS free tier limits. Okay, create a free tier account and ensure you are using your resources properly. Okay, and don't leave your resources running. It is going to be ending up with the billing. Okay, so this page helps you with the free tier limits. Okay, you can go through and you will be able to understand because we have lots of resources, lots of resources that are available, and if you want to know what are the free resources and what is the chargeable resource, and when you want to know the limit, the free tier usage limit, then you can just go ahead with using this website, the AWS documentation for free tier limits. Made clear? So a quick console tour of AWS. So these are the different services. So let's go to the AWS Management Console. Okay, so these are the different services that are available. So you have multiple domains. So compute domain, customer enablement, machine learning, cost management, front-end, mobile and web application, robotics, blockchain, containers, so storage, management and governance, business application, migration and transfer, end user computing, security, identity and compliance, networking and content delivery. So these are other domains. And what are the services under the compute domain? We have EC2, we have Lambda, we have Elastic Beanstalk. If we talk about the types of storage that is offered by AWS, we have the S3, which is a simple storage service. We have EFS, which is Elastic File System. We have FSX, we have S3 Glacier, which is basically an archival storage in the AWS cloud. We have AWS Backup, which is basically for disaster recovery purposes. And AWS basically provides you with a wide variety of databases. Okay, we have a SQL-based database, which is a relational database service. DynamoDB, which is a managed NoSQL database. Elasticache, which is basically a petabyte scale in-memory caching service in the AWS cloud. So these are all the different database services that is offered by AWS. Let's have a look at the networking and the content delivery domain. So in this domain, we have the VPC, which is the virtual private cloud. Okay, and then we have the CloudFront, which is the global content delivery network. Okay, I told you you would be able to establish a global footprint, and this is possible by using CloudFront. And then we have Route 53, which is basically a scalable DNS and domain name registration, which is going to be performed by using Route 53. Okay, and you can use a direct connect if you are going to be having a hybrid infrastructure. Okay, so these are the different services under this category. And then we have the security, identity, and compliance, where we have the identity and access management, where you go in for creating, managing users, and managing the access to the AWS resources for different users. Okay, and then we have all these resources. We have the AWS WAF and Shield, we have the directory services, we have the artifact, we have the audit manager, all these for security, identity, and compliance. Basically, we call it authorization and authentication for access to your resources in the AWS. Made clear? Yes. Now, so here we have discussed about compute, storage, database, security, networking. Application services includes your simple notification service, your simple queuing service, and simple email service. We do have the management services, which is CloudWatch, which is a fully fledged monitoring service. CloudFormation is basically a templating service where you will be able to create a template of your existing infrastructure, and you want to create, use the template to recreate multiple infrastructures, or you want to create a design template of your infrastructure for implementing or making new changes to your infrastructure. All such things can be implemented using CloudFormation. We have the command line interface. We will be using the command line interface in tomorrow's session. And then we have the trusted advisor, which is basically the trusted advisor support that you can go in for if you are planning to migrate your resources into the AWS cloud. They will be helping you or assisting you in with the best possible ideas to migrate your resources into the AWS cloud in a cost optimized manner. So now the first service that we are going to be discussing in AWS. Okay, so AWS Identity and Access Management, which is AWS IAM. It integrates with other AWS services. It gives you the federated identity management. It provides you secure access to the applications that you have in the AWS cloud, and it helps you to provide granular permissions. Okay, and IAM users are users within your account, and each user will have their own credential, like a username and a password that the user is going to be using to log into an account. IAM users are authorized to perform specific AWS actions based on their permissions. So by default, when a user is created, the user will not have any permissions. Even what type of access this particular user can have has to be specified by the administrator. Okay, so the administrator will have to mention, okay, this user can use the S3, this user can use the EC2, and so on. So it is going to be managed based on the permissions that is assigned to the user. So there are no default permissions assigned to the user. Then access to the AWS Management Console or the CLI must be explicitly granted. Next, IAM groups. So basically, you want to have easy management of your workforce or easy management of your users. Then you go in for using IAM groups. An IAM group is a collection of identity and access management users. So the account that I showed you, the management console that I showed you, it is a root user account. Okay, it is a root user account. I would be able to create multiple users inside the account and I can assign them into multiple groups. I will show you how to do this now. Okay, before that, so groups, it basically lets us specify permissions for multiple users, which can make it easier to manage the permissions for those users. And a group can contain many users and a user can belong to multiple groups. And groups can't be nested and they can contain only users and it cannot contain other groups. Group nesting is not supported in AWS. Okay, group within a group. That's what we call it as group nesting. So group nesting is not supported in AWS. Made clear, guys? Okay, folks, are we good to move into the AWS Management Console? Do you want to see how this identity and access management works? Yes or no, guys? Yes, let's move into identity and access management now. So this is the AWS Management Console. It is a global service. Can you see this? Earlier, when I was in the previous screen, it was showing a specific a region. AWS IAM, that is your identity and access management, is a global service. Okay, so here, this is my identity and access management console. Okay, so you need to log in using your user information. This is my root account. Okay, so your root account will have a username, that's your user email or a username, and then you have a password. Okay, so using which I have logged into my AWS account. This is a free tier account. Made clear? Now, we are going to be seeing how we can create users. So I have all these users inside my account. Abhirami, Adeline, Adric, Chris, June 21, Sirisha, Vinolan. So all these are users inside this account, right? Let's create another user. Okay, how do we create another user? Click on Add Users. Okay, give a name for the user. Okay, let's create a user called Sneha. Okay, yes. And then go ahead. Do you remember? By default, the user does not have any permission. Even the programmatic access or the AWS Management Console access has to be explicitly mentioned by you, right? Yes. So I'm giving both programmatic access and AWS Management Console access. What is programmatic access? Your developers generally, in most scenarios, you would just have programmatic access. Okay, so the thing is, you will be able to access the resources using your command line interface or APIs or SDKs. Okay, the one that I am showing you here, this is the AWS Management Console access. Okay, so this is AWS Management Console access. When you give programmatic access, it goes into a access using the CLI, which is the command line interface, a terminal window. Okay, yes, I'm giving both the permission for this user called Sneha. Yes, let's go ahead with permissions. There are different ways by which I can assign permissions to the user. Okay, so now I can add the user to the group. I'm not doing it now. I will show you. You can copy permissions from the existing user. Let's say you have 1,000 new joinees for your organization. Okay, you want to create 1,000 new IDs, user IDs, all with a similar set of permission. What you can do, you can just create it once and then you can use it as a template to create 1,000 other user IDs. Okay, you can go in for using copying permissions from the existing user. Now what I'm doing is attaching existing policies directly. Okay, let's go ahead and do this. Attaching existing policies directly. So these are the different policies that are available. Can you see this? Administrator access for Amplify, Alexa for business device setup. You have so many, okay? We would not be able to go through all of these. Okay, you have a long list of permissions. So let's search. I want to work with S3, which is the simple storage service. Okay, so now simple storage service, we have for this particular user, Sneha, I just want to give S3 read-only access, or I want to give S3 full access, or you want to give Amazon DMS, that is your database migration service, Redshift S3 role. Okay, so all these things you can choose from the list of policies. Let me show you the other one. If you want to give EC2, EC2 is a service which is in the compute domain, right? So S3 is a service which is in the storage domain. EC2 is a service in the compute domain. Okay, so EC2, these are the different permissions that you can assign. EC2 full access, EC2 container service role, EC2 read-only access, and so on. Made clear? Now let's see if I'm going to be giving S3. If I just give S3, I'm giving S3 full access. Next, add tags. Tags is optional. You can, it's basically a metadata. So you can always add this to your user, and it can have a user information like an email address, or it can be anything that is descriptive. So it's basically like a metadata, okay, like a job title, or date of birth, or the employee ID, or date of joining, and so on. So anything that you want to assign to this particular user, okay, the metadata for the user, which is going to be helping you to organize, track, or control access for this user. You can just put them here. Next, go ahead with review and create a user. Okay, so here, since I have given a programmatic access for this user, I have this secret access key and access key ID. Okay, these are needed only for a programmer or a developer. Okay, if you want to access the resources using the CLI environment or the SDK environment, then you need an access key ID and the secret access key. If you're going to be using only the management console, then you don't need the access key ID and the secret access key. The authentication method for the management console will be username and the password. Made clear? Okay, you can go ahead and download the CSV file. So the CSV file is going to be having the informations about your username and the password. I'll show you where you can get this username and password. Okay, so here, this is the user. You can send the email as well. I'm just going into the Iam console. Looks like my screen is stuck. Yeah. Okay. So here inside the users, who's the user that we created now? Yes. Can you see this? Now go into the user. We are checking the user information. The user has a Amazon resource name. Okay. Just copy the username, and you can log in as this resource using the username. The only difference is that you will have to use an IAM user. At the time of logging in, you will be asked whether you want to log in as a root user or as an IAM user. Okay, so if you are going to be logging in as an IAM user, then you have to give it as a IAM user, and then give the ARN. This is basically the account ID. Okay, the 12-digit account ID is here. This is the username. Sneha is the username, and this is the 12-digit account ID. Okay, so you can give the account ID, and then you can give the username, give the password, and then you can proceed. I have not given the password when I created the user, but then you can go ahead and add the password. So console password is enabled. You can go ahead and manage. Okay, auto-generated password or a custom password. Let's give a custom password. Here I can set the custom password. Okay, let's say admin at 123. Okay, and go ahead and this one requiring password reset. If you enable this, then the user will be requested to reset the password when he is logging in for the first time. Okay, apply. So this is basically the method by which you can create a user. Let me show you quickly how to create a group. Okay, so these are the different groups I have in this account. Create a group. I'm creating a group called Let's Upgrade Dev Team. Okay, and you can add users into this group. Okay, any type of user, any users, because users can belong to multiple groups, right? Okay, select the users. Attach permissions, policies. This is optional. Okay, so this policy will be applicable to the group level. Okay, so now just give. Okay, once I gave S3, I have all these things here. I think we gave S3 for the user. Maybe you want to give another thing, when then we can give EC2 as well, right? So EC2, okay? I'm just giving EC2 full access for the people who belong to this group. Okay, create a group. Okay, let's upgrade dev team group is created now. Okay, let's review the group information. So this is the group that we created now, and any resource, or we could say every resource that you create inside the AWS platform will have a unique ARN, which is basically the Amazon resource name. Okay, it will have a unique Amazon resource name. Okay, so this is unique for every resource in your AWS account. Okay, every resource inside your AWS account. Yes. So here are the users inside the group. Okay, all these users are available. If I want to add a new user, I can very well add the user into the group. If I want to add new permissions at the group level, I can simply add the permissions here. And the access advisor, I would be able to use the access advisor as well. So this basically shows the services that this group can access and when the services were last accessed. So this is basically the admin view of all the users and their user permissions and their activity. Okay, made clear, folks? Just give me a minute, guys. Okay, just now I'm able to see all the chat. Okay, I have a few questions here. Difference between Google Console and AWS Console. See, they are Google, that is GCP, and AWS. These are two different cloud providers, and they provide you with all the services. Each of them, they have their unique features, and they provide you services in different domains. Okay, and seismic survey means it's basically a research that is conducted to understand whether this particular region is prone to disaster or not. Okay, so they conduct a seismic survey to understand whether this region is prone to disaster or not. Okay, and what if the AZ goes down? Yes, that is the scenario called multi-AZ deployment. Manish Kumar has asked a question, what if the AZ goes down? So here, when the AZ goes down, when one AZ goes down, the resources in the other AZ can be up and running and they will be able to serve the customers. So you will not have any downtime or interruption for your application. Yes. And what is this? Do we lose data? Obviously, you are using the internet, so you will be, you will be consuming some data. And AWS billing management. Pankaj, basically, if you're talking about the free tier, if you're using your AWS EC2, your Elastic Compute Cloud, your servers, you have 750 hours of free tier usage, okay, per month. And if you're using a service called a Lambda, it basically gives you 1 million free invocations per month. So the first 1 million invocations will be free. So there are like so many services, okay. So you can always go through all the different services, and then what is the free tier limit for each service, okay. Yes, so there is one person who has asked a question, ma'am, can we use any zones? Yes, you are free to use any zones of your choice, okay. So you can choose the availability zone, and then you will be able to use it, okay. Mm. Yes, guys, earlier my chat box was not loading. Just now I have access to the chat box. Sorry, guys. As of now, at the point of class, no doubts, action doubts. Sure. What are caching capabilities of AWS across the globe? Caching capabilities. Dev Sharma has asked a question. What are caching capabilities of AWS across the globe? We have content delivery network, which is going to be having, different edge locations. Okay, we will come into this concept in tomorrow's session. So you will be able to understand that in the CloudFront discussion. Hold on to your question, please. And Aravind, who to create account? Okay, how to create an account. Okay, towards the end of the session, I'll give you a brief idea about creating an account again. Uh, Abdul Sadagar has asked a question. Without the knowledge of programming and networking, can you start learning the cloud? Obviously, yes. It's a continuous learning process, and if you have the determination, if you are motivated enough to start learning a new technology, start off with learning cloud computing, and you would be able to understand all the services. Come on, you just have to have that motivation, and you would definitely be able to learn that. Okay. After termination of an instance, will it be deleted? We still have to move into the AWS EC2, which is Elastic Compute Cloud. So I will tell you what are the different stages. Basically, when you terminate an instance, the instance will be deleted from the account. When you stop the instance will not be deleted from the account, and you will be charged for it. Then, certificates. Yes, guys, we will get back to you with what you can do for the certificates. As Sneha told you in the beginning of the session, you have a separate certificate of participation where you will have to fill up your attendance form. If you have filled up the attendance form for both the sessions, then you will get your certificate of participation. To become eligible for the certificate of completion, you will have to complete all the assignments that is provided to you. So today you will have an assignment with identity and access management. IAM abbreviation. So this is identity and access management. Can you see this here? Identity and access management, that is IAM. I'll tell you about the assignments, guys. Yes, this is a recorded session. It will be made available to you guys, so you can watch it again. Anything else? I'm still checking the chat box, guys. AWS billing management again. Yes, we will go through it. There's one question, Lokeshwar Reddy Valuru has asked a question. What is the use of creating users? So now, for you, if you are going to be an individual user, you might not be needing multiple users. But then in an organization perspective, let's say there is an account for the R&D department. Okay, the entire department, in the entire department there will be multiple employees. Okay, and all of them might have different needs or levels of access into the AWS service. Maybe the testing team might need maybe the platform as a service, or that is your elastic beanstalk, or they might need if it is going to be if they need EC2, maybe a particular group of people, they need access to EC2. Maybe your database team, they need access to the database. So in such a case, you need to create individual user IDs for separate users. Make clear, you need to create individual user IDs for separate users, individual users. And that's the reason you will be able to set privileges for individual users. Every user will have their own username and the password. How we get to know how many hours we have used in free? You can set the free tier limits. You can set the alarm. Okay, generally you will be receiving a mail. Okay, if it is going to be if your AWS free tier limit is reached, then you will receive a mail notification. But you can set the limits and alarms using the AWS Cost Explorer. Yes, is it on premises and private cloud are same? um, Basically, when we say private cloud, you can have both your on-premises as well as the cloud resources in a private cloud, not just one, but both of them you will be able to have it in a private cloud. How many services listed in AWS? You have quite a lot. Okay. Lakshman Shetty, what is the question? Okay. Okay. Yes. So make sure once you are, once we are finishing the session, you might want to explore the platform. If you're using some resource, just ensure that you are terminating the resource before you leave the console. Though you close the console, the resources will still be running. Okay, make sure you close the console. I mean, close the resources. Will the data be copied in all the AZs in a chosen region? That it basically depends upon the service that you're using. If it is going to be a service called Simple Storage Service, that is S3, which basically replicates your data across 3 availability zones, 6 copies, 3 availability zone. That's how it happens. But then if it is going to be a cross-region replication, then you will have to enable it. Okay. If we exceeded hours, definitely you will get a notification. You will be receiving the mail in the mail that you have used for your registration. You will be receiving a mail stating that you have exceeded your free tier usage. Okay, make sure you delete your resources the moment you use. Just because you have 750 hours, don't let the resource running. This is a very important point to remember. Don't let your resources running. Okay, the moment you are, I understand that you are exploring the platform, but the moment you finish or when you're going to close the console, ensure that you have deleted all the resources that you were exploring. You want me to log in with the sample IAM user that you created? Okay, let's do that. Cloud Practitioner exam. Okay, we will have the discussion. So basically, the Cloud Practitioner certification. Yes, guys. So it's the first level, the essentials, the first level of getting recognized as your practitioner. Okay. Okay, let's go into the assignment. Okay, before that, let me show you how you can log in as a user. Okay, let's copy the Let's copy the ARN for the user. I need the account ID and capital S, Sneha. Yes. I'm logging out and log back in. So now it asks for your username and password. So log in as an IAM user. Okay, give the account ID. IAM username is Sneha and the password that I have given was okay. If you remember, when I created the user, I have given the user should change the password during the next sign in. That is the reason it is asking me to change the password. So I have to type the old password and type the new password. Okay, can you see this now? Now you're logged in as the user. Earlier it was logged in as the root user. Now I'm logged in as an IAM user. So I think for this user we have given S3 full access. Let's check what is the permission for this user. So I can see all the buckets inside this account. So that means this user has S3 full access. And then let's try to create a bucket. Yes, I have access to creating a bucket as well. So this user basically has S3 full access. Let's see if this user has EC2 access or not. Okay, because the reason EC2 access is available for this user is we have created a group called LetsUpgrade dev team, and then we assigned the permission to the group as EC2 full access. That is the reason this user is able to see all the summary about the instances that are running. I'm wondering why this instance is running. So since we have given EC2 full access, this user can go ahead and terminate. Okay, yes. Yes, guys, let's see if this user is having access to identity and access management. Can you see this? We encountered the following error while processing your request. So this user is not authorized to perform an IAM get account summary. So we had two permissions. The first permission was the user permission, which is S3 full access. The second permission was the group permission, which is EC2 full access. So this user was able to log into S3 console, into EC2 console, but then not into the IAM console, where creating and managing users is not possible for this user. Made clear, guys? Okay, let me get back to those questions quickly. I've already told you about how regions are connected, right, Gautam? So your regional communication happens through the AWS Global Backbone Network. I will share the assignment with you guys. Just give me a couple of minutes. Let me check the chat box alone. What is the difference between the root user and an IAM user? Root user is like the admin user. Okay, the privileges of the root user cannot be restricted. Okay, the root user will have all the privileges. Root user is the owner of the account, owner of all the resources. He is the admin user. IAM user can do tasks which are assigned to him. Okay, so it's completely based on the permissions that is assigned to the IAM user. That is the basic difference. How to close the resource? It's basically, the method varies for individual resources. Okay, if you talk about deleting an instance, if you terminate the instance will get deleted. How to close the resources before leaving the console? Just go in for if it's a EC2 instance, then go in for deleting the instance. If it's terminating the instance, if it's an IAM user, you generally don't get charged, so no problem. I think we are all caught up. Okay, Vivek looks like very much curious to know my qualifications. I have completed my master's in wireless communication from University of Southampton, UK, and my bachelor's was in India. And I've done lots of certifications, as I told earlier. I've completed my Microsoft Certified Solutions Architect, Solutions Associate, AWS Certified Solutions Architect Associate, AWS Certified Developer Associate, SysOps Admin Associate, and Cisco Certified Network Associate as well. I guess that pretty much explains your question, Mr. Vivek. Yes. IAM user won't charge. Basically, we have certain services that doesn't give you a charge. Okay, so if it is an EC2, it's a chargeable resource. IAM is not a chargeable resource. But then if this particular user is going to be creating some kind of resource, then the resources will be chargeable. Okay, so it varies. Okay, the users, if they are going to be using some resources, that the resources will be chargeable. Okay, let's quickly understand what the assignment is. Okay. Okay, so the process for submitting your assignment, you will have to create your free tier account, do whatever I'm telling to do, and then you will have to take screenshots at every stage. Okay, after every step, you will have to take a screenshot and then put it into a Word document or a PDF file. Anything is comfortable, just upload it into the link that is provided for this particular assignment. Made clear? So this is assignment of project 1. Okay, so here working with IAM. Okay, the tasks: create users. Okay, I want you to create 3 users, create 1 group, set user permissions, set a unique group permission, login as IAM okay, login as the IAM user. Okay, and then show that the user permission and the group permissions are applied. Okay, so if I say EC2, go into EC2, I should be able to see, I should have, you should have a screenshot of that you have access to EC2. The screenshot of that you don't have an access to identity and access management. Now check which particular permission, okay, as an extra work, you can check which policy gives access to identity and access management, because the one that I showed you, I was not able to. It said this user is not authorized to perform a IAM summary. Do a research, check which particular policy gives you access to IAM. Okay, when I say this particular user, when he logs in as the IAM user, he should be able to create multiple users and manage the users permissions as well. Okay, so this is the task that has to be done. Any questions? User real or dummy, it's just we're just practicing, no problem guys. Just create a normal user. Okay, just give random name, create users, assign permissions. Okay, nothing more than that. This is the assignment guys. Okay, working with IAM. You want me to term it as assignment? Fine. Okay, so this is assignment 1, working with identity and access management. So here you will have to create 3 users, create 1 group, set user permissions. So you can set whether you want to have EC2 permission, S3 permission. So any type of permission that you want to set, you just go ahead and use it, and then set a unique group permission. Similarly, whatever I've done in this session. Okay, add the user to the group. Okay. Add the users to the group, log in as the IAM user, and show the user permission and group permissions are applied. And this is a challenge task where you will have to check which policy gives you access to identity and access management. Make clear? Any more questions, guys? And the assignment submission link is already there in the chat box. Please make sure you submit the assignments. Okay, so before the end of this week, make sure you submit your assignments. So the deadline will also be communicated to you. Okay, anyways. Thank you very much. And how does a provider know when to increase the resource? Okay, this is a very valid question, guys, and thank you for bringing it up here. So basically, we will be discussing about this in tomorrow's session. Once we understand EC2, we have not got into a server yet. Okay, so we need to understand the server, and then I'll tell you how this happens. Okay, provider. So here's a question: how does the provider know when to increase the resource? So if you remember, I told you a feature called auto scaling. Okay, if you set up auto scaling, then it is basically based on few metrics. Okay, based on the metrics, you will be able to scale up or scale down the resources. Okay, we will get back to this in tomorrow's session. Region versus data center versus availability zone in short. Let's do that. Just give me a minute. So here, a region is a geographical location, a bigger geographical location, which comprises of multiple availability zones. Okay, so 3 or more availability zones together comprises a region, and multiple data centers. These are data centers. Okay, so these are the data center. This is data center 1, data center 2, data center 3. So this is within the availability zone 1. This is within the availability zone 2. Okay. Okay, so this is a region, geographical location, which houses multiple availability zones. Okay, availability zones, they are geographically apart from each other. They will be housing the data centers. Okay, so these are the real-time physical data centers. Okay, these are geographical separations. These are real-time physical data centers. These are the only physical resources, which is basically the AWS Global Infrastructure, which forms the backbone of the AWS cloud. Okay, yes. Yes, guys, this is AWS Essentials. Is a free course. Okay, isn't today the end of the week? Yes, I get that. So we're having a weekend session. So, today and tomorrow you have your sessions. So you can take 2 or 3 days post the session. Okay, so before the end of the following week. Yes. Yes, guys, you will have a certificate. Rupee card generally doesn't work, guys. Okay, please try to arrange a Visa card or a debit card. Rupee card generally doesn't work. Gateway load balancer is beyond the scope of AWS Essentials, guys. Yes, so yes, that's about gateway load balancers. Yes, you can upload your screenshots. Okay. So here you are just going to be doing the exercise that I have done in today's session, and then you will be taking the screenshots of all these activities, and then you will put it into a Word file or a PDF file, and then you will upload in the GitHub link that is provided to you. What is the roadmap to learn AWS? So if you mean, if you can be much more clear with this question, I would be happy to answer you. Whether you're talking about how to go ahead with the professional and specialty levels, or how do you want it to be? Or how do you get charged on your account basically after a 1 year of free tier account? So again, you will have to go in for one of the subscriptions, so it is not going to be automatically debited from your debit card or your credit card. Don't worry about that. They will send you mails that you will have to make a subscription. So it is up to you to subscribe or leave it as it is. What's the assignment question? Guys, again, I'm displaying the question. This is the assignment. This will be uploaded in the assignment link as well. How much time to complete this assignment? You can take probably another 3 days. So probably Wednesday or Thursday, make sure you submit the assignment. Any freshers can prepare for this AWS course. Rupee card definitely will not work. You need a Visa card or a MasterCard. Okay, guys. No problem. When you are creating Vinod Madhikara, so if you're not able to add the screenshots in the process of creating an account, perfectly fine. Just do this assignment and add the screenshots there. No, not really credit card, but then debit card would also work. Okay, guys. So we've come to the end of the lesson, end of this session. Yes, it. I hope you all had a good learning session today. Yes. We would be continuing tomorrow with the remaining topics for AWS Essentials.